The kitchen light was too bright. It had been too bright for 3 years, but I'd never said anything. That's the thing about becoming invisible. You stop mentioning when things hurt your eyes. I sat at the kitchen table, not the dining room table. The help doesn't eat in the dining room. In front of me was a bowl of instant ramen, the kind that comes 3 for $2 at the corner store. The steam had stopped rising 15 minutes ago, but I hadn't taken a bite. My hands, spotted with age and smelling faintly of bleach from the afternoon's cleaning, rested on either side of the bowl, like they were guarding something precious. They weren't. It was just noodles getting cold in a kitchen that smelled like floor cleaner and loneliness. My phone buzzed against the laminate table. I knew it wasn't Lucas calling to say they were on their way. Knew it wasn't Ashley saying there was a spot for me at that table where they were celebrating her promotion. I'd known since this morning when my daughter-in-law had floated down the stairs in her pearl gray suit, glowing like she'd swallowed the sun, that tonight would be different. I just didn't know how different. I picked up the phone. A text message. From Ashley. Mom, remember to heat up the leftovers in the fridge. Don't waste them. XOXO. I read it once. Twice. 3 times. Each time the words rearranged themselves in my head, trying to form a shape that didn't hurt. They couldn't. Mom. Not Margaret. Not Maggie, like my friends used to call me back when I had friends. Just Mom. The functional title. The job description. Heat up the leftovers. I opened Instagram. I shouldn't have. At 68 years old, you'd think I'd know better than to torture myself with other people's happiness. But I did it anyway, because sometimes you need to see the proof. Sometimes you need to confirm that yes, you really are as alone as you feel. There they were. Ashley in a tight red dress that probably cost more than my monthly widow's pension. Lucas in the white shirt I'd ironed that morning, the one I'd hung carefully on his closet door while he was still sleeping. Ryan and Lily, my grandchildren. My heart making silly faces with shrimp tails hanging from their mouths. Ashley's mother, her sister, her brother-in-law. Even people I didn't recognize, colleagues, probably. Friends. 9 people at the Skyline Grill where the cheapest entree cost $85. The caption read, "Celebrating my Queen's promotion, regional manager at 34. Here's to women who never stop reaching higher." 237 likes in 20 minutes. I wasn't in a single photo. Not even as the person behind the camera this time. I was simply nowhere, erased from the celebration like I'd never existed. I closed the app, put the phone face down on the table, looked at my ramen cold and congealing. And then something strange happened. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't even feel angry. Instead, an icy calm washed over me like someone had opened a window in the middle of winter and let all the pretending blow away. My body knew something my mind was still processing. This wasn't just another humiliation. This was the last one. I stood up slowly. My knees protested 68 years of holding up a woman who gave too much. But they held. I walked to my bedroom, the small one at the end of the hall that used to be Lucas's childhood room. The one where I could still see the faint pencil marks on the door frame where David had measured our son's height every birthday. David had been dead for 3 years, but those marks remained. The only proof in this house that I'd ever built something that mattered. I opened the closet. Behind the boxes of shoes I never wore because Ashley said they were dated, behind the winter coats I'd brought from my real home, was my old sewing box. The one my mother had given me when I married David 45 years ago. Wooden with a painted rose on the lid that had faded to a ghost of pink. I lifted it out and set it on the bed. Inside, beneath the spools of thread and the pincushion shaped like a tomato, was a hardcover spiral notebook. The kind students use for important classes. I'd been keeping it for 11 months now, ever since the day I'd realized I might need proof. I opened to the first page. My handwriting shaky but determined, dated April 2024. If you're reading this, I've finally found the courage to leave. Or maybe I'm dead and someone is trying to figure out where all my money went. Either way, here's the truth. Below that, a list. Numbers and receipts and bank statements, all carefully taped and documented. December 18th, 2022. Down payment on house, $68,000. January 2023. Refrigerator and washer/dryer, $4,340. February 2023. Living room furniture set, $3,200. March 2023. Master bathroom renovation, $6,500. The list went on. And on. 3 years of my life reduced to numbers in a notebook. At the bottom of the last page, I'd done the math. total invested $136,800. Nearly everything I'd received from selling the house where I'd raised Lucas. The house where David had died in my arms, where we'd celebrated 42 Christmases, where the kitchen tiles still had the crack from when 8-year-old Lucas had dropped my mother's china platter. I'd sold my memories for $68,000 down payment so my son could buy his dream house. And I'd spent the rest keeping that house running while they treated me like the help. But tucked in the very back of the sewing box wrapped in plastic was something they didn't know about. Something I'd kept secret for 3 years, first out of trust, then out of instinct, and finally out of self-preservation. A manila envelope, inside the property deeds. I pulled them out with trembling hands and read the name typed in official notary script. Owner Margaret Elizabeth Thompson, widow not Lucas Thompson. Not Lucas and Ashley Thompson, just me. The house at 847 Jurist Circuit Satellite City, Noalpin Community was mine. Had always been mine. Because 3 years ago, when we'd stood in Hector Salinas's notary office, he'd said, "Mrs. Thompson, since you're providing the full down payment, I recommend we put the property in your name initially. You can transfer it later, but this way you're protected." Lucas had agreed. "It's safer this way, Mom. We'll do the transfer once we're settled." We never did. He'd mention it occasionally in those first 6 months. "We should go to the notary, Mom, change the deeds." But there was always something more urgent. Always next month. Always later, and I, in some part of my soul I didn't yet understand, never reminded him. Now I understood why. The part of me that had survived 45 years of marriage, that had buried a husband, and rebuilt a life that had taught elementary school for 35 years, and learned to spot a lie from across a classroom, that part knew I would need this protection. I looked at my phone, 10:15 p.m. According to Ashley's Instagram stories, they were on dessert now. Some tower of chocolate and raspberries that cost $34 a slice. I had time. I took out my phone and made 3 calls. "Aunt Maggie, it's past 10. Are you okay?" Megan's voice was alert, despite the hour. My niece, my sister's daughter, had always been sharp. At 38, she'd just come out of a brutal divorce that had made her fierce in family court. Now she practiced family law with the intensity of someone who'd learned the hard way that blood doesn't always mean loyalty. "I need your help, sweetheart. Legal matter. About the house." A pause. "Your house, I thought you were living with Lucas and Ashley." "Exactly. That's why I'm calling." I heard her grab a pen. "Tell me everything." I did. 15 minutes of 3 years compressed into facts. The down payment, the deeds, the monthly mortgage contributions of $920 from my $1,600 widow's pension, the receipts, the humiliation, and finally tonight's text message. When I finished, Megan let out a low whistle. "Aunt Maggie, are you telling me that house is completely in your name and they don't know it?" "Yes. And you have proof of every dollar you've invested. Every receipt, every bank transfer, everything." "Oh my God," I heard typing. "Aunt Maggie, this is legal gold. You have a rock-solid case. You can evict them. You can charge back rent. You can sell the house. Legally, they're your tenants without a lease. They have no rights to the property." I felt a smile spread across my face. Not a happy smile. A smile of justice finally arriving after a 3-year delay. "I'll be at your office tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock. I'll be waiting, Aunt Maggie, and bring everything. Deeds, receipts, proof of payments, everything." "There's one more thing, Megan." "Yes?" "I have recordings." Silence. Then, "What kind of recordings?" "The kind where my daughter-in-law talks about me like I'm a piece of furniture. The kind where she plans how to get rid of me. The kind where she tells her friends I'm basically free labor. 17 files, all dated and backed up." "Aunt Maggie," Megan's voice dropped to a whisper, "with this we can do whatever you want. Whatever you want." "Good. See you tomorrow." "Mrs. Thompson, is everything all right? It's quite late." Hector's voice carried 30 years of notary business and genuine concern. He'd handled David's will. He'd processed the sale of my house. He'd tried to warn me about keeping the new house in my name. "Hector, I need you to review some documents tomorrow. About the house in the community." "Did something happen?" "Let's just say I'm going to assert my rights." I heard him shift in his chair, probably sitting up straighter. "Are Lucas and his wife giving you trouble, Margaret?" "You could say that." "I warned you, didn't I? I told you not to transfer that house until you were certain." "You did, my friend, and you were right. That's why I'm calling. I need your advice and your office. tomorrow at 10. I'll be here. And Margaret. Yes. It's about time you stopped letting them take advantage of you. Maggie. What are you doing up at this hour? Is something wrong? Linda's voice was gravelly from sleep, but instantly concerned. We'd been friends for 40 years, neighbors back in the suburbs before I sold everything. She'd been widowed 2 years before me and knew what it was like to rebuild a life from grief. Linda, is the room you mentioned still available? The one upstairs. Silence. Then, the guest room. Yes, but Maggie, what's going on? My voice broke for the first time all night. I can't do it anymore, Linda. I can't keep being invisible in my own house. Oh, honey, I heard her getting out of bed. You come here tomorrow, whenever you want. The room is yours for as long as you need it. Thank you, I whispered. Maggie, what happened? I told her about the text, about the Instagram photos, about 3 years of being erased from the family I'd bought a house for. When I finished, Linda was crying. You should have left 2 years ago, mi amor. You should have left the day that girl started treating you like the help. I know, but I was afraid. Of what? Of being completely alone. Of admitting that I'd made a mistake. Of losing Lucas forever. And now I looked around my small room, at the pencil marks on the doorframe, at the suitcase I'd already pulled from under the bed, empty and waiting. Now I'm more afraid of disappearing entirely, of dying in this house without anyone noticing I was ever here. Then come home, Maggie. Come home to yourself. But you need to understand how I got here. How a 68-year-old former elementary school teacher who once commanded a classroom of 30 squirming children ended up eating instant ramen alone in a house she paid for. Let me take you back 3 years and 4 months. To the day I lost everything and gave away what little I had left, not knowing I was signing my own sentence of invisible servitude. David died on a Tuesday, pancreatic cancer. 6 months from diagnosis to death, so fast I barely had time to understand what was happening before he was gone. One day we were planning our retirement trip to Italy. The next I was picking out a casket. The suburban house 847 Maple Drive, the one with the mosaic patio David had laid by hand when Lucas was 5, became unbearable after the funeral. Every corner screamed his absence. The coffee maker he'd programmed every night before bed. The reading chair that still held the shape of his body. The garden where he'd planted roses each Mother's Day, 42 bushes for 42 years of marriage. I couldn't breathe there anymore. Lucas came to visit 2 weeks after we buried his father. He had Ashley on his arm and that smile I'd known since he was a boy. The smile he used when he wanted to ask for something but was afraid I'd say no. We sat in the kitchen where I'd taught him to crack eggs without getting shell in the bowl where he'd done his homework, while I graded papers where David and I had slow danced on our 30th anniversary with the radio playing soft jazz. Mom, Lucas said, stirring sugar into his coffee, Ashley and I have been talking. Ashley nodded, her coral-painted nails wrapped around a mug I'd owned for 25 years. We want to buy a house. Something bigger for the kids, but the market is impossible right now. I waited. I'd been a teacher long enough to know when students were working up to asking for an extension. The down payment for the house we want is $68,000, Lucas continued. We've been saving for a year, but we only have half. Ashley leaned forward, her voice gentle, practiced. We know you're thinking about downsizing anyway. This house is too big for one person, Margaret, and you shouldn't be alone. Margaret, not Mom, not Maggie. The formality should have warned me. What are you proposing? I asked, even though I already knew. Lucas looked at Ashley. Ashley looked at me. If you sold this house, you could come live with us. You wouldn't be alone anymore. The kids adore you. It would be perfect, like a real family. Like a real family. As if we hadn't been a real family for 42 years. As if the pencil marks on the doorframe and the roses in the garden and the casket I'd just bought weren't proof of something real. But I was drowning in grief and silence. The house was too full of ghosts and too empty of David. And Lucas was my son, my only son, the boy I'd rocked through colic and cheered through Little League and held when his first girlfriend broke his heart. How much do you need? I heard myself ask. If you sold this house, Mom, Lucas said, his voice warming with hope. You could help us with the down payment and still have plenty left over for yourself. You could invest it, save it, whatever you want, and you'd have a home with us, with your grandchildren. We'd take care of you. We'd take care of you. I should have asked what that meant, should have gotten it in writing, should have protected myself the way David would have wanted me to. But I was 65 and newly widowed and terrified of dying alone, so I said yes. The sale. February 2023. 847 Maple Drive sold for $120,000. I gave Lucas $68,000 for his down payment. I put the remaining $52,000 in a savings account thinking it was my safety net, my insurance policy, the money that would protect me if things went wrong. What I didn't do, and this is what haunts me most, was put my name on the deed of the new house. Lucas said it wasn't necessary. The house is for everyone, Mom. Why complicate the paperwork? And I, like a fool who'd spent 45 years trusting my husband and 35 years trusting my students, trusted him. The house at 847 Jurist Circuit was in a gated community with a security booth and palm trees, and a name that sounded expensive, Noel Pin Estates. 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, a 2-car garage. Nice, modern, cold. The notary Hector Salinas had raised his eyebrows when he saw the financial structure. Mrs. Thompson, you're providing the entire down payment of $68,000. I strongly recommend we put the property in your name initially. You can transfer it to your son later, but this way you're protected if anything happens. Lucas had shrugged. Whatever's safest, Mom. It's your money. Ashley had been checking her phone, barely paying attention. So Hector typed my name on the deed, Margaret Elizabeth Thompson, widow. We left his office with me as the legal owner of a house I'd just bought for my son. The plan was to transfer it in a few months once we were settled. That was 3 years ago. We never made the transfer. The first year, 2023, it started small. Little things I told myself didn't matter. January through March. The honeymoon, I got up at 5 every morning. Made coffee the way Lucas liked it, strong with a hint of cinnamon. Made breakfast eggs, beans toast with butter. Woke up Ryan and Lily, combed their hair, packed their lunches in the insulated bags with the cartoon characters. Saw them off at the school bus stop. Ashley would dash out at 7:30, always impeccable in her business suits and French perfume that cost $240 a bottle. She'd kiss my cheek and say, "Thank you, Mom, you're a lifesaver." Lucas would leave at 8. Sometimes he'd hug me. Sometimes he'd just call, "Thanks, Mom," from the doorway. And I would stay behind, clearing plates, doing laundry, mopping floors. At first it felt good, purposeful. I was needed. I was helping. This was what family did. April through June, the cracks Ashley started inspecting my work. She'd run her finger along the shelves looking for dust, open the refrigerator and frown if something wasn't in its exact place, check the bathroom mirrors like a health inspector. "Mom, the mirrors have spots." "Mom, Ryan's shirt isn't ironed correctly." "Mom, why did you use so much detergent? It's the expensive brand." Never Margaret, never Maggie. Just Mom, like a job title, like calling a plumber plumber or a doctor doctor. I started paying $920 toward the mortgage every month. The total payment was $1,400, but Lucas said he could only afford $480 on his salary. "Just until I get my next raise, Mom. Then I'll cover it all." The raise never came. Or if it did, the mortgage contribution didn't change. I did the math in my head every month. $1,600 pension minus $920 mortgage contribution equals $680 for everything else. Clothes, medicine, transportation, anything personal. $680 a month, while Ashley spent $300 on a single bottle of wine. July through December, becoming furniture. Ashley started organizing family dinners and forgetting to tell me until the last minute. "Oh, Mom, didn't I mention my college friends are coming over Saturday? You don't mind cooking for 8, do you?" Her friends would arrive and she'd introduce me. "This is Lucas's mom. She helps us with the house." Not "this is Margaret, my mother-in-law." Not "this is Maggie who used to teach kindergarten and can recite every Dr. Seuss book from memory." Just Lucas's mom who helps with the house. They stopped including me in photos. Christmas 2023. We took the family picture in front of the tree. Everyone dressed in red and white, Lucas, Ashley, Ryan, Lily. Ashley's mother had flown in from upstate. "Mom, you take it," Ashley said, handing me her iPhone. "You have steadier hands." So I stood behind the camera while they smiled. The photo ended up framed in the living room. Professional quality. Everyone looking happy and complete. I'm not in it. In fact, I'm not in a single photo displayed anywhere in this house. It's like I'm a ghost, present but unseen. Functional but not family. January through May. The recordings begin. It was April when I started feeling genuinely afraid. I'd overheard Ashley on the phone with her sister talking while I cleaned the upstairs bathroom. She thought I couldn't hear her. No, seriously, it's perfect. She gets up early, cooks, cleans, takes care of the kids. And the best part, I don't have to pay her or give her days off because she's family. Lucas feels guilty sometimes, but I remind him she's better off here than alone in some depressing senior apartment. Her laugh, high and sharp. I remember scrubbing the bathtub grout with my hands shaking. That's when I bought the digital recorder. $45 at an electronics store downtown. I told the clerk I wanted to record my memoirs. He showed me how to use it, how to save the files, how to hide it in my pocket. I started carrying it everywhere. File number 1. April 15th, 2024, Ashley on phone with her sister. It's like having a free live-in maid. She does everything and I can focus completely on my career. That's why I'm getting promoted, because I don't have to worry about domestic crap. And she doesn't charge me. She lives here for free. It's basically her way of paying us back for letting her stay. I played that recording 3 times that night, sitting in my room with headphones on, trying to understand when I'd become something to be tolerated instead of someone to be loved. File number 3, June 2nd, 2024, Ashley with friends in the living room drinking wine while I prepared snacks in the kitchen. Friend, you're so lucky your mother-in-law does everything. Ashley, I know, right? She sold her house and gave us the money, so it's like her way of earning her keep. Plus, she doesn't have anywhere else to go. Laughter friend, what happens when she gets too old to work? Ashley, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, probably one of those nice budget nursing homes. File number 7, October 23rd, 2024, Ashley and Lucas in their bedroom. I was cleaning their bathroom door slightly ajar. Ashley, your mom is getting really intrusive, Lucas. She wants opinions on everything. Lucas, she's just trying to help. Ashley, helping is interfering. Every time the kids listen to her more than me, it pisses me off. Sarah told me yesterday that Grandma cooks better than me. Do you know how that feels? Lucas, Emily, please. Ashley, no. Seriously, when she dies, she'll leave you a decent pension. It served its purpose. Maybe it's time she finds her own space. A small apartment. One of those senior communities. Lucas, I can't just kick my mother out. Ashley, you don't kick her out. You suggest she'd be happier somewhere else. For her own good. Lucas, long pause. I'll think about it. I'll think about it. My son, my only son, the boy I'd sacrificed everything for, was going to think about getting rid of me. I saved that file 3 times, backed it up to my email, to a USB drive, to the cloud, because I knew even then that I might need proof that I wasn't crazy, that this was really happening. June through December, the documentation, I started keeping the notebook, every expense tracked, every receipt saved. I took photos of Ashley's Instagram posts with her hashtags, #myhouse, #self-made-woman, #living my best life, my house, my achievements, never our house, never grateful for family support. By December 2024, I had 17 audio files, a notebook full of financial records, screenshots and photos and proof that I'd invested $136,800 into a house where I was treated like the help. But I didn't have courage. Not yet. I told myself it would get better, that Ashley was just stressed from work, that Lucas was just conflict avoidant like his father, that if I was patient and kind and useful enough, they'd remember I was a person. I told myself these lies for 2 more months, until March 15th, 2025, until the text about leftovers. Ashley came down the stairs at 6:47 a.m. practically glowing. I got it, she shouted to Lucas, who was coming down behind her, still tying his tie. I got the promotion. Lily looked up from her pancake's mouth full. What happened, Mommy? Your mommy is the new regional operations manager, Sweetie, the youngest in the company's history. Lucas picked her up and spun her around. I knew it. I knew that position was yours. I was at the stove flipping pancakes. Congratulations, Ashley, I said, and I meant it. Despite everything, I didn't wish her ill. She barely glanced at me. Thanks, Mom. Then back to Lucas's arms. We have to celebrate, Lucas said. Big, like my wife deserves. The Skyline Grill, Ashley suggested, eyes sparkling. The one with the view? I've always wanted to go there. Whatever you want. Money's no object tonight. Ryan raised his hand like he was in school. Can I come? Of course, buddy. The whole family. My heart did a small, hopeful flutter. The whole family. That included me, didn't it? I put the pancakes on the table and wiped my hands on my apron. What time should I be ready? I asked, trying to sound casual. Ashley looked at me like she'd just realized I was still in the room. Ready for what? For dinner, the family celebration. There was a silence. Not long, maybe 3 seconds. But in those 3 seconds, I watched Ashley's face, and I saw the truth. Oh no, Mom, she said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. It's an intimate dinner. Just us the kids, my mom who's driving in from upstate. Direct family, you know. Direct family. Those words landed in my chest like stones. I understand, I said, and turned back to the stove, even though there was nothing left to flip. Besides, Ashley continued spreading butter on her toast, someone has to stay with the house, right? We can't just leave it empty. And you cook so well, I'm sure you'll make yourself something delicious. Lucas said nothing. My son, the boy I'd raised, who I'd defended from every bully and every setback and every disappointment life threw at him, just looked silently at his plate of eggs. They all left at 11 a.m. Ashley changed outfits 3 times. The kids were excited in their Sunday best. Lucas gave me a quick kiss on the forehead, so automatic he didn't even look me in the eyes. Don't wait up, Mom. We'll be late. And they left. The house fell silent. A silence so heavy I could feel it pressing against my skin. I walked through the rooms. The living room with the $3,200 sofa I'd bought. The dining room with its glass table I cleaned every day. The kitchen where I'd prepared 3 meals a day for 3 years. Everything was spotless. Everything was in order. And I was completely, utterly alone. I made instant ramen, sat at the kitchen table, ate 3 bites before my stomach revolted. At 7 p.m., I opened Instagram. The photos appeared one by one, each a small knife, Ashley in red holding champagne, the kids with shrimp and French fries, the whole table, 9 people toasting, 184 comments, all strangers celebrating a woman I'd helped build a life for. No one asked where I was. No one noticed someone was missing. Then at 9:47 p.m., my phone buzzed. Mom, remember to heat up the leftovers in the fridge. Don't waste them. XOXO. I stared at those words, opened the refrigerator. There they were, half-eaten rotisserie chicken from yesterday, rice from Monday, vegetables I'd bought and cooked. Leftovers. That's what I was worth. They're scraps. They're afterthoughts. I closed the fridge, typed 2 letters, okay, and then I made my calls. After Linda, after Megan, after Hector, I sat on my bed and looked at the suitcase I'd pulled out hours ago. This couldn't just be a tantrum. Couldn't be a dramatic exit that would end with me begging to come back in a week homeless and broken. This had to be final. Calculated. Just. I opened the sewing box again and took out everything I'd hidden, the notebook with 3 years of receipts, the USB drive with 17 recordings, the manila envelope with the deeds, the old phone with screenshots and photos. I spread them on the bed like evidence at a trial, because that's what this was, a trial. And I was finally going to be both witness and judge. I started packing. Not all my clothes, just what was truly mine. What I'd brought from my real home. David's old Columbia sweatshirt that still smelled faintly of his aftershave. My mother's silver rosary. The photo album from my wedding with pictures of people long dead but not forgotten. Each item I placed in the suitcase was a piece of myself I was reclaiming. At midnight, I sat down and wrote 2 letters. Letter 1. For Lucas's pillow. Lucas, for 3 years I've been a ghost in this house. I cooked every meal, cleaned every corner, raised your children, paid the mortgage, all while swallowing humiliations in silence. Tonight, while you celebrated with $340 wine, you texted me to heat up leftovers. I'm done being invisible. You'll find documents on your nightstand. Read them carefully. We'll meet at the notary's office Monday at 10 a.m. Attendance is mandatory. I loved you my entire life. But love without respect isn't love, it's habit. And I'm breaking that habit. Mom, letter 2. Yellow sticky note on the deed envelope. This house is in my name. It always was. $136,800 invested over 3 years. See you Monday. Margaret Elizabeth Thompson, owner. I placed the letter on Lucas's pillow, the envelope on his nightstand clearly visible. Then I checked my phone one last time. Ashley's latest Instagram story showed them asking for the check. They'd be home around 1 a.m., maybe later if they kept drinking. I had time. I carried my suitcase downstairs. My 68-year-old knees protested, but they held. I paused at the bottom of the stairs and looked around one last time. The living room where I'd folded 1,000 loads of laundry. The kitchen where I'd washed 10,000 dishes. The hallway where I'd mopped floors until my back screamed. I didn't feel sadness. I felt freedom. I walked to the front door, unlocked it, stepped outside into the cool March night, and for the first time in 3 years, I didn't leave the key in the lock on the inside for them. I took it with me. After all, it was my house. The Uber arrived 3 minutes later. The driver, a man in his 50s, helped me with the suitcase. "Long trip, ma'am?" he asked as we pulled away from the curb. I looked back at 847 Jurist Circuit receding in the darkness. All the lights off, empty and waiting for its occupants to return from their celebration. "No," I said quietly. "Not a long trip. A short one, actually. I'm just going home." "Where's home?" I thought about Linda's guest room, about Megan's office tomorrow morning, about the notary meeting on Monday where I would finally assert my rights. "Myself," I said. "I'm going home to myself." As the car moved through the empty streets of Coyoacan, I imagined the scene that would unfold in a few hours, Lucas and Ashley and the kids' cheeks flushed with wine and celebration, stumbling through the front door calling my name. Turning on lights, expecting me to be there asking about dinner, calling up the stairs. Mom, where are you?" Opening my bedroom door. Empty. Going to their room. Seeing the letter. Reading it. Understanding. Finding the envelope. Opening it. Seeing their whole world collapse in official notary script. Owner Margaret Elizabeth Thompson. I smiled in the darkness of the Uber. Not a cruel smile. Not a vengeful smile. A smile of someone who had finally, after 3 years of silence, found her voice again. Tomorrow the legal war would begin. But tonight was just for me. Tonight I would sleep peacefully for the first time in 3 years, knowing that the invisible maid had finally woken up. And she had teeth. 1:23 a.m., March 16th. The return. I wasn't there when they came home, but Ryan told me everything 3 days later when he came looking for me at Linda's house, crying so hard he could barely speak. Let me reconstruct that night, the way my grandson narrated it to me, his small voice breaking with each detail. The security guard at the Noelpin Estates gate waved them through with a friendly salute. He'd later tell the neighborhood gossips that they were laughing loudly, music turned all the way up, Ashley leaning on Lucas's shoulder. Ashley had drunk 3 glasses of red wine, 2 champagnes, and a shot of tequila they'd ordered for a final toast. Lucas wasn't sober either. 2 double whiskeys and several beers. The kids were asleep in the back seat, exhausted from shrimp and dessert and staying up past bedtime. They parked in the driveway. Ashley stumbled, getting out laughing at her own clumsiness. Lucas caught her by the waist, playful kissing her neck. "Regional manager," he whispered against her skin. "And you're the husband of the year," she giggled, hanging on his arm. They walked up the porch steps. Lucas fumbled for keys in his pocket, swaying slightly. "Shh," Ashley said between laughs. "Don't wake up your mom." "Let her sleep," Lucas replied. "She deserves it after watching the house all night." He unlocked the door. Everything was dark except the upstairs hallway light, the one I always left on so they wouldn't trip. "Mom," Lucas called as he entered, his voice slightly slurred. "We're home, silence." Ashley turned on the living room light. And then they saw it. The room was different. Not empty, but different. Wrong. The Persian rug, the one I'd brought from my house on Maple Drive, the one my mother had bought on a trip south 50 years ago, was gone. The embroidered throw pillows on the sofa, the ones I'd made by hand during winter evenings, gone. The landscape paintings on the walls, the ones David had given me for anniversaries, missing. "What the—" Ashley frowned. "Did your mom rearrange—" Lucas walked to the kitchen, turned on the light. The Italian coffee maker I'd used every morning for 30 years gone. The ceramic mugs I'd collected from different states disappeared. My apron that always hung on the hook by the fridge vanished. "Mom," he called louder now. "Where are you?" They went upstairs. Ryan said that's when the alcohol started to wear off, replaced by something cold in his father's stomach. My bedroom door was ajar. Lucas pushed it open, hit the light switch. The bed was made, perfectly made the way I always left it, but empty. The closet door hung open, empty of my clothes. Only the hangers remained swaying slightly in the breeze from the air vent. The nightstand, no books, no reading glasses, no rosary, no photograph of David. As if I had never existed in that room. "What the hell?" Emily muttered behind him. Lucas ran to the bathroom, my toothbrush gone, my face cream, my comb, my cheap rose-scented perfume from the drugstore all gone. He came back to the bedroom, and that's when he saw it. On his pillow, a folded letter. His hands were shaking when he picked it up, unfolded it. Ashley read over his shoulder. Ryan, watching from the hallway, said his father's face changed as he read. From confusion to disbelief. From disbelief to horror. "What does it say?" Ashley demanded. "Did she leave? Did your mom actually leave?" But Lucas didn't answer. He'd seen the manila envelope on his nightstand, reached for it with clumsy fingers, pulled out the papers inside. Property deeds. Official. Notarized. Legal. He read the name written in professional script, Margaret Elizabeth Thompson, widow. "No," he whispered. "No, no, no, no." "What is it?" Ashley snatched the papers from his hands. Her eyes scanned the document once, twice, and then she went pale. Actually pale, all the wine flush draining from her cheeks. This can't be real." "The house is in her name," Lucas said in a hollow voice. "The whole house. It was always in her name." But you paid the down payment. You told me you—" "She paid the down payment." Lucas sat down heavily on the bed. "All $68,000. I didn't have anything. It all came from her." Ashley grabbed the yellow sticky note attached to the deeds. "Read it out loud," her voice rising with each word. "This house is in my name. It always was. $136,800 invested over 3 years. See you Monday." She swayed. Actually swayed on her feet. $136,000. Are you telling me your mother invested over $100,000 in this house, and we never transferred the deed? We never did the transfer." Lucas confirmed, his voice dead. "We talked about it at first, but then we just didn't." The silence that followed was deafening. Ryan said he woke up, then came downstairs rubbing his eyes and found his parents in the living room. His mother was pacing like a caged animal. His father had his head in his hands. "This can't be happening," Ashley was saying, her voice shrill. "We've lived here for 3 years. 3 years. This is my house. I earned this." "It's her house," Lucas said flatly. "Legally, it was always her house." "Then you demand she give it to you. She's your mother. She has an obligation." Lucas looked up. His eyes were red, Ryan said. Bloodshot from alcohol and something else. Something like shame. "An obligation," Lucas's voice cracked. "Like the obligation we had to treat her with respect, to not exclude her from dinner tonight, to not make her feel like hired help in her own goddamn house." Ashley stopped pacing, speechless. "We left her alone," Lucas continued, his voice breaking. "In her own house, we left her eating leftovers while we spent $300 on wine." "Daniel, you—" Ashley started. "You sent her that text," Lucas interrupted, standing up. "That damn text about heating up leftovers from the fridge, like she was the maid, like she was nothing." Ashley's mouth opened, closed. She turned even paler if possible. It wasn't with bad intentions. It was just, what a joke. Humiliating my mother was funny to you." For the first time in 3 years, Ryan said his father defended his grandmother's honor. But it was too late. Lily woke up crying, calling for me. "Where's Grandma? I want Grandma." Lucas took out his phone, dialed my number. Once, twice, 5 times, 10 times. I'd silenced his contact. Every call went straight to voicemail. He started texting, "Mom, please answer me." "Mom, I'm so sorry. I didn't know about the house. Mom, we can fix this. Please don't do this to us. Please." None of them got a reply, because at that moment I was at Linda's house, wrapped in a clean blanket that smelled of fabric softener, drinking chamomile tea with honey, and sleeping the deepest, most peaceful sleep I'd had in 3 years. 8:00 a.m., Megan Foster's office. I woke up at Linda's house feeling lighter than I had in years. Sunlight streamed through white curtains. Birds were singing. The smell of fresh coffee drifted up from the kitchen. No one was waiting for me to make breakfast. No one would inspect my work. No one would give me orders disguised as suggestions. I was free. My phone had 43 notifications, 28 missed calls from Lucas, 18 text messages, 4 from Ashley, 2 from unknown numbers, probably relatives who'd already heard about the scandal. I didn't open any of them. Instead, I dressed carefully. Black slacks, a cream blouse, the pearl earrings David had given me for our 40th anniversary, the ones I hadn't worn in 3 years because Ashley said they were too formal for every day. Today wasn't every day. Linda drove me to Megan's office in downtown Coyoacán. We didn't talk much during the drive. She just held my hand and said, "You're doing the right thing, mi amor. Don't let guilt make you forget that." Megan's office was on the 3rd floor of a colonial building, all exposed brick and modern furniture. She met me at the door with a strong hug and a cup of coffee exactly how I liked it, 2 sugars, splash of cream. "Aunt Maggie," she said, leading me to her desk, "you're my hero. I couldn't sleep last night thinking about your case." She'd clearly been working since our phone call. Her desk was covered with legal pads, precedent cases, printed out statutes, highlighted. "Did you bring everything?" I pulled items from my purse one by one, the manila envelope with the property deeds, the hardcover notebook with 3 years of receipts, the USB drive with 17 audio recordings, the old phone with screenshots and photos. Megan spread them across her desk like a general planning a battle. "This is it, Aunt Maggie. This is perfect." She reviewed each document, her lawyer brain processing at lightning speed. "Deeds in your name irrefutable. Proof of payment meticulous. Bank transfers documented. And recordings." She plugged the USB into her computer, clicked on file number 3. Ashley's voice filled the small office. "It's like having a free live-in maid. She does everything and I can focus on my career. That's why I got promoted, because I don't have to worry about domestic crap." Megan's professional expression shifted to outrage. She clicked on file number 7, Ashley. "When she dies, she'll leave a decent pension. Maybe it's time she finds her own space." "Lucas, I can't just kick my mother out." "Ashley, you suggest she'd be happier somewhere else, for her own good." "Lucas, I'll think about it." Megan clenched her fists. "That son of a—" She stopped herself. "Sorry, Aunt Maggie, but this is elder exploitation, financial abuse, emotional manipulation. With this evidence, we can do whatever you want." "What are my options?" She pulled up a document on her screen, typed as she talked. "Option 1, immediate eviction. We file papers today, they have 30 days to vacate. You get your house back clean and simple. Option 2, demand full repayment. $136,800 within 90 days. If they can't pay, we foreclose. Option 3, sue for back rent. Fair market value for a room in that neighborhood is about $850 a month. Times 36 months, that's $30,600 plus emotional damages. We could easily get another $50,000. I listened to each option, feeling the weight of power I hadn't known I possessed. "There's also option 4, Megan said carefully. "Criminal charges. Elder financial exploitation is a felony in this state. With these recordings, we have evidence of premeditation." "Would Lucas go to jail?" "Probably not. More likely probation, fines, restitution. But Ashley," Megan's eyes glinted. "Ashley planned this. Ashley executed it. She could face real consequences." I thought about Ryan and Lily, about my grandchildren growing up with a mother in prison. "No criminal charges," I said. "Not unless they force my hand." "Then what do you want, Aunt Maggie? What would justice look like for you?" I took a deep breath. "I want them to understand what they lost. I want them to feel what I felt. And I want them to learn that love isn't free when you confuse it with servitude." Megan nodded slowly. "Then I have an idea. It's unconventional, but it might be perfect." She pulled out a fresh legal pad and started sketching. "What if we divide the property 60-40 split? You keep 60% ownership, legally registered, ironclad. They get 40%, but only if they agree to certain conditions." "What conditions?" "You rent out your 60% to a family of your choosing. They live in the house with Lucas and Ashley. Shared common spaces. Your tenants pay you monthly rent, let's say $850 directly to your account." I blinked. "You want me to make them live with strangers?" "I want you to teach them what it feels like to share space with people they didn't choose, to have to be polite when they want privacy, to understand that a house isn't just walls, it's respect." A smile spread across my face. That's brilliant. "There's more. Mandatory therapy. Lucas and you weekly sessions for 6 months minimum. Ashley individual therapy with proof of attendance. And family therapy after 3 months with all 3 of you. And if they refuse, then we go to option 1, immediate eviction. They have no leverage here, Aunt Maggie. The house is yours. You hold all the cards. I sat back in my chair, feeling something I hadn't felt in 3 years. Power, agency, choice. Let's do it. Draft the papers. Megan grinned. Give me 2 hours. And Aunt Maggie? Yes. Welcome back to yourself. 11:30 a.m., Linda's house. I was having lunch with Linda, homemade pozole and fresh tortillas when the doorbell rang. Linda looked at me. Do you want me to answer it? I knew who it was. Had been waiting for it, actually. No, I'll go. I opened the door. Lucas stood on the porch and I barely recognized him. Deep dark circles under bloodshot eyes, unshaven. The same wrinkled shirt from yesterday stained with what looked like coffee. He'd aged 10 years overnight. Mom, his voice cracked when he saw me. Lucas, please, we need to talk. Linda appeared behind me, protective. You can't just show up here. I touched her arm. It's okay. Let him in. We sat in Linda's small living room. Linda stayed nearby, a silent guardian. Lucas didn't know where to start. He ran his hands through his hair, bit his lips, finally spoke. I didn't know the house was in your name. I know. Why didn't you tell me that question? That damned question that put the responsibility back on me. I did tell you, Lucas. For the first 6 months, I reminded you every 2 weeks. Son, we need to go to the notary to do the transfer. Do you remember what you'd say? He looked down. Later, Mom. We're really busy with the move right now. Next week, Mom. There's no rush, Mom. We're family after all. I leaned forward. And then you stopped responding, and I stopped asking. Because a part of me, the wise part that survived 45 years of marriage, knew I would need that protection. Protection from me. His voice was small. Your own son. From the situation. From becoming what I became, a domestic servant in my own house. Lucas covered his face with his hands. I never wanted you to feel that way. But I did feel that way, every single day for 3 years. Ashley, she can be harsh sometimes, but she's not a bad person. I stood up, walked to my purse, and pulled out the USB drive, placed it on the coffee table between us. Do you know how much you invested in that house? I asked. He swallowed hard. The deed said $136,800. Do you know where that money came from? From the sale of the house in the suburbs. From the sale of the house where your father and I lived for 42 years, where we raised you, where we celebrated every one of your birthdays, where your father died in my arms holding my hand. My voice cracked. I sold my memories, Lucas. I sold the last piece of your father I had left, and I did it for you. Lucas started to cry, thick tears falling onto his hands. Do you know how much you paid for the mortgage each month? I continued. $480. And do you know what the actual mortgage payment was? Silence. $1,400. I paid the other $920 every month from my $1,600 pension. Do you know what that means? He looked up confused and broken. It means that after paying my share of the house, I had $680 left for all my expenses. Clothes, medicine, transportation, anything personal. $680 a month while Ashley spent $300 on a single bottle of wine. Lucas turned pale. I didn't know. You didn't know because you never asked. You assumed I was fine, that I was happy, that taking care of your kids and cleaning your house was enough purpose for me. I picked up the USB drive. This contained 17 audio recordings, conversations where Ashley talks about me when she thinks I'm not listening, where she plans how to get rid of me, where she mocks me with her friends, where she discusses putting me in a cheap nursing home once I'm no longer useful. Lucas stared at the drive like it was a bomb. Listen to it when you get home. All of it. But do it alone. Ashley can't be there. Why? Because if you listen together, you'll end up divorced tonight. And even though your wife made my life impossible, your children don't deserve a broken home. He picked up the USB drive with trembling hands. Mom, what's on here? The truth. Listen to it. All of it. Then decide if you want to meet at the notary's office on Monday with your wife present, or if you'd rather we talk just the 2 of us first. He stood up, staggering slightly. Is there anything I can do to fix this? Yes, you can learn. You can change. And you can teach your children that elderly people are not furniture, that your mother was not a servant, that love and respect are not optional in a family. He walked to the door, stopped with his hand on the knob. Mom, did I really lose you? I looked at him, this man who used to be my little boy, who I'd rocked through nightmares and cheered at baseball games and held when his first girlfriend broke his heart. You didn't lose me, Lucas. You forgot to see me. There's a difference. Whether you get me back depends on whether you're willing to learn how to look again. He left without another word. Linda came and held me while I cried. Saturday night, 8:47 p.m. Lucas sat alone in his study. Ashley was in the living room with the kids trying to pretend everything was normal. But nothing was normal. The house felt wrong without my presence, like a stage set missing its most important prop. He put in his headphones, plugged the USB into his laptop, clicked on file number 1. For the next 4 hours, Lucas Thompson listened to his wife discuss his mother like she was a problem to be solved, a burden to be managed, an inconvenience to be tolerated. Ryan told me later that his father didn't come out of the study until after midnight. When he did, his eyes were swollen from crying. File number 1, April 15th, 2024. Ashley on phone with her sister. No, seriously, it's perfect. She gets up early, cooks, cleans, takes care of the kids. And the best part, I don't have to pay her or give her days off because she's family. Lucas feels guilty sometimes, but I tell him she's better off here than alone in some depressing apartment. Lucas paused the recording. Rewind. Listened again to his wife's laugh. That high, sharp laugh that he'd always thought was musical. It sounded cruel now. File number 3, June 2nd, 2024, Ashley with friends drinking wine. Friend, you're so lucky your mother-in-law does everything. Ashley. I know, right? She sold her house and gave us the money, so it's like her way of earning her keep. Plus, she doesn't have anywhere else to go. Laughter, earning her keep. His mother, the woman who'd worked 2 jobs to pay for his college, who'd sat with him in the hospital when he had appendicitis at 14, who'd made his favorite birthday cake German chocolate with coconut frosting every single year of his life. Earning her keep. File number 7, October 23rd, 2024. This one made Lucas stop breathing. Ashley, when she dies, she'll leave you a decent pension. Maybe it's time she finds her own space. A small apartment. One of those senior communities. Lucas, I can't just kick my mother out. Ashley, you don't kick her out. You suggest she'd be happier somewhere else. For her own good. And then his own voice, weak and complicit. I'll think about it. Lucas pulled off the headphones, ran to the bathroom, vomited, because he remembered that conversation, remembered exactly when it happened. He'd been putting on his shoes, getting ready for work. Ashley in her silk robe hair wrapped in a towel. And he'd said, I'll think about it. Not that's my mother, Ashley. She stays. Not how dare you suggest that. Just, I'll think about it. He listened to all 17 files. By file number 12, where Ashley discussed putting me in a cheap nursing home once I got too old to work, Lucas was on the floor of his study, his back against the door, sobbing. Because the worst part wasn't what Ashley had said. The worst part was that he'd known. Maybe not the specific words, but the attitude, the disrespect, the way his wife treated his mother like an employee rather than family. He'd known, and he'd done nothing. At 1:00 a.m. Ashley knocked on the study door. Lucas, are you coming to bed? He opened the door, looked at his wife, this woman he'd married 7 years ago, who he'd promised to love and cherish, and felt something inside him crack. Did you mean it? He asked quietly. Mean what? When you said my mother was earning her keep, when you planned to put her in a nursing home, when you laughed about her with your friends. Ashley's face went through several emotions, confusion, realization, fear. You listened to them. She gave you recordings. Did you mean it? Ashley's jaw tightened. I was venting. People say things when they're frustrated. For 3 years, Ashley, you vented about my mother for 3 years. She was intrusive. She spoiled the kids. She had opinions about everything. She paid for this house. Lucas's voice rose for the first time. She gave us $68,000. She paid $920 of our mortgage every month for 3 years. She cooked every meal, watched our kids clean this house until her hands bled from bleach. I didn't ask her to do that. You texted her to heat up leftovers. The shout echoed through the house. While we were drinking $300 wine, you texted my mother, who was eating instant ramen alone in the house she paid for, to heat up our goddamn leftovers. Ashley's eyes filled with tears. Lucas, I'm sorry. I didn't realize. No, you realized. You just didn't care. He pushed past her, went to the kids' rooms. Ryan was sitting up in bed listening. Lily was crying, calling for me. Lucas held his son and daughter and felt the full weight of what he'd allowed to happen. Where's Grandma? Lily sobbed. I want Grandma. She's gone, baby, Lucas whispered. And it's Daddy's fault. It's all Daddy's fault. Sunday afternoon, 2:00 p.m., I was having tea with Linda when Ryan showed up at the door alone. He'd ridden his bike 3 miles from the community to Linda's apartment. I found out later Lucas had given him the address. When I opened the door, my 9-year-old grandson threw himself into my arms, crying so hard his whole body shook. Grandma, I miss you so much. I held him tight, breathing in the smell of his hair, still that kid shampoo with the watermelon scent. My grandson, my beloved grandson. We sat on Linda's couch. I let him cry until the sobs turned to hiccups. Why did you leave? He asked, his voice small. I knelt to be at his level. Sometimes, my love, when someone treats you badly for a long time, you have to walk away to remind them that you're important. But we don't treat you badly. I love you. I know, sweetheart. You and Lily love me. But sometimes grown-ups forget how to show love the right way. Your parents forgot to treat me with respect. Dad's been crying a lot, and Mom won't stop saying she's sorry. I know. Are you coming back? I looked into his eyes, those 9-year-old eyes full of confusion and innocence. I don't know yet, Ryan, but what I do know is that I love you, and none of this is your fault. Do you understand? He nodded, wiping his tears with his sleeve. We spent 2 hours together, ate Linda's homemade cookies. I read him a story where the wild things are his favorite since he was 3. We played dominoes at Linda's kitchen table, and for those 2 hours I was just Grandma again. When Lucas came to pick him up, my son looked worse than yesterday. His eyes were hollow, his face gaunt. Did you listen to it? I asked from the doorway. He nodded without speaking. All of it, another nod. Then I'll see you tomorrow, 10 a.m., Notary Salinas' office. Mom, His voice broke. I didn't know half of what she said, and the other half, I should have stopped. I should have protected you. Yes, you should have. I closed the door gently. Linda came up behind me. That was hard. Everything worth doing is hard. Sunday evening, 8:00 p.m., Lucas showed up again, alone this time. Linda let him in with a warning look. We sat across from each other in Linda's living room. The silence stretched between us like an ocean. Finally, Lucas spoke. There's something I need to tell you, something that makes everything worse. What? He took a deep breath. I've known about the house deeds for 6 months. The words hung in the air. I'm not sure I heard them correctly at first. What did you say last September? I was looking for insurance documents in the filing cabinet. I found the property deeds, saw your name, only your name. My hands started shaking. You've known for 6 months. Yes. And you didn't tell me. Didn't tell Ashley. No. Why? Lucas's face crumpled. Because I was a coward. Because I thought if I never brought it up, maybe things would get better on their own. Maybe Ashley would soften. Maybe you'd, I don't know, forget you had the power to leave. I stood up, sat down, stood up again. The betrayal was so complete, so absolute that I couldn't process it. You're telling me, I said slowly, that you watched your wife abuse me for 6 months, knowing I could leave at any time, knowing I had legal ownership of the house, and you said nothing. I'm sorry. You're telling me that every time Ashley mocked me, every time she made me feel small, every time she treated me like the help, you knew I didn't have to take it, and you stayed silent. Mom, please. That's worse than Ashley's cruelty, Lucas. A stranger's abuse is one thing, but my own son watching me suffer, knowing I had an escape route, and deliberately keeping me in the dark. My voice rose. That's betrayal. I don't even have words for what that is. Lucas was sobbing now, full-body sobs that shook his shoulders. I know. I wanted to tell you so many times, but I was afraid. Afraid of the conflict. Afraid of Ashley's reaction. Afraid of everything changing. So you chose your comfort over my dignity. Yes. The word came out broken. Yes, I did. And I will regret it for the rest of my life. I walked to the window, looked out at the street at the normal world continuing while mine shattered and reformed. Tomorrow at the notary's office, I said without turning around, you'll find out what happens next, whether there's a path forward or whether I cut you out completely. Mom, leave now, Lucas. I can't look at you right now. He left, and I sat in Linda's living room and cried for the second time in 2 days. Not for the house, not for the money, for the son I thought I knew, for the man who'd promised at his father's funeral to always take care of me, for the boy who used to bring me dandelions and call them flowers. That boy was gone, and I was mourning him. Sunday night, 10:00 p.m., I couldn't sleep, so I did something I'd been avoiding. I opened Facebook, the account I'd barely used in 3 years. 437 friends, most of them old colleagues from teaching neighbors from the suburbs, distant relatives, high school classmates I'd reconnected with years ago. I'd never posted anything meaningful, just the occasional recipe share or birthday greeting. But tonight I needed to speak, not just to Lucas and Ashley, but to the world, to every woman who'd ever been made invisible. I typed, after 3 years of being invisible in a family I helped build, I learned that self-love isn't selfishness, it's survival. I sold my home of 42 years to help my son buy his dream house. I invested $136,800 from my widow's pension. I cooked every meal, raised the grandchildren, cleaned every corner. Last night, while they celebrated with $340 wine at a fancy restaurant, they texted me to heat up the leftovers. So I left. And when they came home, they discovered the house was in my name all along. To every woman who's been made to feel invisible, your dignity matters more than keeping the peace. I hit post before I could second-guess myself. Then I closed the laptop and went to bed. Monday morning, 6:00 a.m., Linda woke me up, phone in hand, eyes wide. Maggie, you need to see this. My Facebook post had exploded. 247 reactions, 634 comments, 156 shares, and it was still growing. I scrolled through the comments with shaking hands. Margaret, you just gave me the courage to leave my daughter's house where I've been the unpaid nanny for 5 years. Thank you. Patricia R. My mother went through this exact thing. She ended up in the hospital from stress. I wish she'd had your strength. David M. Sharing this to all my groups. Every elderly woman needs to see this. Your dignity is not negotiable. Rosa L. I'm 58, and my son's wife treats me exactly like this. I'm calling a lawyer tomorrow. Thank you for speaking up. Carmen V. The comments kept coming. Women sharing their own stories. Daughters apologizing for how they'd treated their mothers-in-law. Sons admitting they'd been complicit in elder abuse. My small act of rebellion had become a movement. By 8 a.m., a local news blog had picked it up. Grandmothers Stand Against Elder Exploitation goes viral. By 9 a.m., I had 34 private messages from women asking for advice, for courage, for permission to value themselves. I sat in Linda's kitchen reading message after message and understood something profound. My pain wasn't just mine. It belonged to thousands of women who'd been made to feel small in homes they'd built. And my voice, my small 68-year-old voice, was giving them permission to speak too. Linda squeezed my hand. You ready for the notary meeting? I looked at the time, 9:15 a.m. In 45 minutes, I would walk into Hector Salinas' office and face my son and daughter-in-law. In 45 minutes, I would learn if this family could heal or if some fractures run too deep. I'm ready, I said. And I was. Because I wasn't fighting just for myself anymore. I was fighting for every invisible woman who'd ever been told her comfort mattered less than everyone else's convenience. I was fighting for the grandmothers and mothers-in-law and widows who'd given everything and received nothing but contempt. I was fighting for the me I used to be before I became a ghost in my own life. Linda drove me downtown. We didn't talk. She just held my hand. At 9:55 a.m., we pulled up in front of the Colonial Building where Hector's office waited. I took a deep breath, fixed my pearl earrings, straightened my shoulders. Let's go get your life back, Linda said. And together we walked inside. The office smelled like old books and strong coffee. Mahogany furniture gleamed under fluorescent lights. Hector's walls were covered with framed degrees and licenses, 30 years of notary practice looking down on us. Megan was already there, her leather briefcase open, documents arranged in neat stacks. She wore her courtroom armor black suit hair in a severe bun, reading glasses perched on her nose. She looked like she could eviscerate someone with paperwork alone. "Aunt Maggie." She greeted me with a hug, then whispered, "Remember, you hold all the power here. Don't let guilt make you forget that." Hector welcomed me with his fatherly embrace. "Margaret, are you ready for this?" "I've been ready for 3 years. I just didn't know it." We sat on one side of the large conference table. 3 empty chairs faced us across the expanse of polished wood. At 9:58 a.m., we heard footsteps on the stairs. The door opened. Lucas entered first. He'd shaved, changed clothes, but his eyes still carried the weight of the weekend. Behind him came Ashley, and I barely recognized her. Gone was the power suit armor, the designer heels, the confident stride. This Ashley wore a conservative navy blue dress with a modest neckline, low heels, minimal makeup, her hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. She looked like a woman going to court, which in a way she was. "Good morning," Lucas said quietly. "Good morning," I replied. They sat. Ashley wouldn't meet my eyes. Lucas stared at his hands. Hector cleared his throat. "Well, we're here to resolve a situation regarding the property at 847 Jurist Circuit. Mrs. Margaret Thompson is the legal owner, and—" "We know," Ashley interrupted, her voice tight. "We already know everything." Megan raised an eyebrow. "Oh, you know that my client has invested $136,800 in that property?" "Yes." "And that you have been living without a lease agreement for 3 years?" "Yes." "And that my client has legal grounds to request immediate eviction, back rent collection, and sue for emotional damages?" At that, Ashley looked up. Her eyes were glassy with unshed tears. "Yes, we know everything." The silence that followed was heavy. Megan pulled out her laptop, began typing. "Then let's discuss options. Mrs. Thompson has 3 primary legal courses of action." She clicked a button. A document appeared on the screen mounted on the wall. "Option 1, immediate eviction. We file papers today. You have 30 days to vacate the property. Mrs. Thompson reclaims full possession of her house." Ashley's face went pale. "Option 2, demand full repayment. $136,800 payable within 90 days. If payment cannot be made, we proceed with foreclosure proceedings." Lucas shook his head. "We don't have that kind of money. Not even close." Option 3, sue for back rent and damages. Fair market value for room rental in that neighborhood is $850 monthly. 36 months equals $30,600 in back rent, plus emotional distress damages, conservatively another $50,000. Ashley covered her face with her hands. "There's also," Megan continued coolly, "the matter of criminal charges. Elder financial exploitation is a felony in this state, with recorded evidence of premeditation. No criminal charges," I said firmly. "Not unless they give me no choice." Megan nodded. "Then we proceed to option 4, my client's preferred solution." She clicked to a new document. "Property division and cohabitation agreement." Lucas and Ashley looked up, confused. "What does that mean?" Lucas asked. I took a deep breath. This was the moment. The decision I'd agonized over all weekend. "It means we divide the house legally, 60-40 split. I retain 60% ownership registered with the county. You get 40%. "But," Ashley frowned, "60-40 means you still own more than us." "Yes, it does." "Where would you live?" Lucas asked. "I'm not coming back to that house," I said firmly. "I'm staying where I am, but my 60% comes with conditions." Megan unfolded another document. "Mrs. Thompson will rent her 60% share to a family she personally selects. This family will live in the house with you. You will share common spaces, kitchen, living room, dining room." Ashley's eyes widened. "You want us to live with strangers?" "I want you to feel what I felt," I said, my voice steady. "Sharing space with people you didn't choose. Having to be polite when you want privacy. Understanding that a house isn't just walls and furniture, it's respect." Megan continued. "The tenant family will pay $850 monthly rent directly to Mrs. Thompson. You will maintain the property together, share household responsibilities, and coexist peacefully." "For how long?" Lucas asked. Indefinitely, until I choose to sell or until you can afford to buy out my 60% at fair market value. Ashley looked like she might be sick. Who would live with us? Her name is Jennifer Hayes, I said. She's 52, a widowed elementary school teacher. She has 2 children, Dylan 14 and Emma 11. She lost her husband in a car accident 2 years ago and has been looking for stable housing ever since. We'd be sharing our house with a stranger and her teenage kids. Ashley's voice rose. The same way I shared my house, the one I paid for, with people who made me invisible. The parallel hit home. Ashley looked down. There are additional conditions, Megan said. Weekly therapy sessions for Lucas and Mrs. Thompson, minimum 6 months. Individual therapy for Ashley with proof of attendance. After 3 months, family therapy sessions with all 3 parties. And if we refuse? Ashley asked quietly. Then we proceed to option 1, Megan said. Immediate eviction, 30 days to vacate. Lucas looked at me, really looked at me for the first time since walking in. Mom, after everything, you'd still give us a chance. You'd let us keep living there. I'm not doing this to destroy you, Lucas. I'm doing this so you learn, so you understand, so you become better people. And if we agree to all this, Lucas said slowly, do we get you back? Do we get our mother back? I felt tears prick my eyes. That depends on whether you're willing to do the work, whether you can change, whether you can see me, really see me as a person, not a function. Ashley spoke then, her voice broken. Before we agree to anything, I need to tell Lucas something. Something that explains some of this. We all turned to her. Ashley's hands were shaking. She took a deep breath. Lucas, I have debt. Credit card debt. A lot of it. What? Lucas stiffened. How much? $47,000. The number hung in the air like a grenade. 47. Lucas couldn't finish. Ashley, we have 2 kids. We have a mortgage. How? Shopping, she whispered. Designer clothes, bags, shoes, jewelry. I maxed out 4 cards you don't know about. I've been making minimum payments from my salary, but it's eating everything. Lucas stood up, paced to the window. 4 cards I don't know about. I opened them in my name only. You never saw the statements. Why? His voice was barely controlled. Why would you do this? Ashley's face crumpled. Because I grew up poor, Lucas. Really poor. My mother cleaned houses for rich people who treated her like dirt, like she was nothing. When I finally got my education, my career, I swore I'd never be poor again, never be looked down on. She wiped her eyes. But the debt, the pressure, I was drowning. And that's why I was so desperate about the house. I planned to take out a home equity loan against it to pay off my cards. That's why I needed it to be fully ours, free and clear. The room was silent except for Ashley's quiet crying. That's why you treated my mother like that, Lucas said. Because you were hiding debt. No. Yes. I don't know. Ashley looked at me. I became what I hated most, Margaret. The rich people who abused my mother. I took out all my fear and stress on you because you were there, because I could. Because you wouldn't fight back. She stood up, walked around the table, and knelt in front of me. I don't deserve forgiveness. I know that. But I need you to know I'm not making excuses. What I did was cruel. It was wrong. And I became a monster. I looked down at this woman who'd made my life hell for 3 years. This broken, flawed, terrified woman who'd mistaken cruelty for strength. Get up, Ashley, I said quietly. Don't kneel to me. Just stand up and be better. She stood, tears streaming down her face. Megan cleared her throat. With this new information, we could add financial fraud to the charges. No, I said, no charges. She needs help, not punishment. I turned to Ashley. Here's what happens. I'll forgive 3 months of rent, $2,550. You use that money to pay down your debt. But you will attend Debtors Anonymous meetings weekly. You will work with a financial counselor. And you will be honest with Lucas from now on. Ashley nodded, unable to speak. This is your last chance at redemption, Ashley. Don't waste it. Hector prepared the documents. It took 2 hours. Property division agreement, 60% Margaret Elizabeth Thompson, 40% Lucas Thompson and Ashley Sterling Thompson. Rental agreement, Jennifer Hayes family, $850 monthly rent, shared common spaces, 1 year minimum term. Therapy requirements. Lucas and Margaret weekly sessions, 6 months. Ashley individual therapy proof required. Family therapy after 3 months. Financial terms, Lucas and Ashley maintain mortgage payments, $1,400 per month, property taxes, insurance. Margaret receives rental income. If they wish to buy out her 60% fair market appraisal required. We all signed, notarized, legal, binding. When it was done, Lucas came around the table and knelt where Ashley had knelt. Mom, thank you. Thank you for not giving up on us. I touched his face. I'm not giving up, but I'm not forgetting either. You have to earn me back, son. Both of you. We will, he promised. I swear to you, we will. 2 weeks later, April 1st moving day, I supervised as co-owner. It was my right and my responsibility to Jennifer. Lucas and Ashley stood on the porch as the moving truck pulled up. Ryan and Lily were in the yard, curious and nervous. Jennifer Hayes stepped out of her car, and I felt immediately that this was right. She had kind eyes, teacher's eyes. Dylan and Emma climbed out behind her, carrying boxes. Thank you so much for this opportunity, Jennifer said, shaking Lucas's hand. You have no idea what this means to us. Ashley forced a smile. Welcome to the house. The house. Not our house, not my house. Progress. That evening, Jennifer made green chicken enchiladas. The smell filled the house, cumin and garlic and homemade tortillas. Ashley came downstairs following her nose. Found Jennifer in the kitchen. Her kitchen. That smells amazing, Ashley said carefully. Thank you. I made extra if you'd like to join us. Jennifer's warmth was genuine, uncomplicated. They all sat down together. 7 people around one table, Lucas, Ashley, Ryan, Lily, Jennifer, Dylan, Emma. Strangers learning to be something like family. Ryan and Dylan bonded immediately over video games. Lily and Emma discovered they both loved drawing. Children don't have adult prejudices. They just saw new friends. Ashley picked at her food, uncomfortable at her own table. Learning what I'd learned, that discomfort is a powerful teacher. Lucas and I sat across from Dr. Montero, a woman in her 60s with gray hair and gentle eyes. Tell me why you're here, she said. Lucas started crying before he could speak. I let our bond break because it was easier to keep peace with my wife than defend my mother. And you, Margaret? I let it happen because I was afraid. Afraid that if I protested, they'd make me leave. Afraid of being alone. Dr. Montero nodded. Fear makes us accept intolerable things, but you both have a chance to rebuild, if you're willing to be honest. I need to tell you something, Mom, Lucas said, his voice shaking. Something I told you at Linda's house, but I need to say it here in therapy so it's witnessed. Okay. I knew about the house deeds. For 6 months. I saw them last September. Even though I'd known, hearing it again in therapy still hurt. And I watched you suffer knowing you had power to leave, and I said nothing. Because I was a coward. Because I chose my comfort over your dignity. Dr. Montero turned to me. How does that make you feel, Margaret? Betrayed. More betrayed than by Ashley, honestly. Because he's my son. Lucas, I know, and I'll spend the rest of my life trying to make it right. Lucas started calling me daily. Not about house business. Just how are you? What did you have for lunch? Did you sleep well? Small things. Building blocks of a relationship. One Tuesday, he showed up at Linda's apartment with flowers. Daisy's my favorite. Just because, he said, because you're my mom and I love you. I held those flowers and cried. Week 3, the math homework. Emma struggled with fractions. She sat at the dining table, frustrated and crying. Ashley, an engineer by training, saw her, hesitated, then sat down. Can I help? Emma looked up with teary eyes. I don't understand any of this. For an hour, Ashley taught Emma fractions using pizza slices and pie charts. Patient, kind, the way a good person teaches. When Emma finally understood, she threw her arms around Ashley. Thank you, Mrs. Ashley. Ashley froze, then hugged back. After Emma ran upstairs, Ashley sat alone at the table and cried. Jennifer found her. You okay? That's the first time in months anyone has thanked me for something without expectation, without calculation. She just thanked me because I helped. Jennifer squeezed her shoulder. That's what real connection feels like. Emma accidentally knocked over Ashley's expensive vase. $200 imported from Italy. It shattered across the hardwood floor. Emma stood frozen, terrified. Old Ashley would have exploded, would have screamed, would have demanded payment. New Ashley, the one who was trying, took a breath. "It's okay, honey," she said quietly. "Accidents happen. Are you hurt?" Emma shook her head, eyes wide. "Then that's all that matters. It was just a thing. You're a person. People matter more than things." Later, Lucas hugged his wife. "I'm proud of you." "Your mother said that once," Ashley whispered. "In one of the recordings. You can replace things. You can't replace people." I didn't understand it then. Jennifer invited me for Sunday dinner. She was making mole my favorite. I walked into 847 Jurist Circuit for the first time in a month. The house felt different, lived in, warmer somehow. Everyone was there. Lucas, Ashley, the kids, Jennifer's family, 11 people around the table. Lily had drawn a picture, all of us together, me in the center with a crown. "You're the queen, Grandma," she explained, "because you made us all be together." I broke down, cried in front of everyone. Lucas took my hand. "Thank you, Mom, for not destroying us when you could have." "Thank you for finally seeing me," I whispered back. July 15th, 3 months later, Ashley came home early from work. Her face was gray. "I've been laid off," she said to Lucas. "What by?" "They eliminated my position. Regional operations manager is gone. Restructuring. I have 2 months severance." Lucas pulled her close. "We'll figure it out." But that night I got a call from Lucas. "Mom, I need to tell you something. With Ashley's job loss, we can't afford the mortgage and her debt payments and Jennifer's rent. We're going to be in serious financial trouble." "How bad?" "Bad enough that we might lose the house entirely." I sat in Linda's apartment staring at the wall. This was my chance. I could let them fall, watch karma deliver its justice. Or I could teach them what grace looks like. I called Ashley. "Come to Linda's house, alone." She arrived looking exhausted, terrified. We sat across from each other. "Lucas told me about your job," I said. "I'm so sorry. I know this affects your rental income." "Stop, I'm not calling about money," Ashley blinked. "I'm calling to offer help, but not the kind you're expecting." I pulled out a piece of paper. "Here's what I'll do. I'll forgive 3 months of Jennifer's rent. That's $2,550. You use that money for debt payments and job searching." "Margaret, I can't. I'm not done. I'll also connect you with my financial advisor. You will attend every appointment. You'll join Debtors Anonymous, real meetings, real work, and you'll humble yourself. No more pretending. No more pride." Tears rolled down Ashley's face. "Why are you doing this after everything I did to you?" I leaned forward. "Because someone once gave me a second chance. Because my grandchildren deserve a mother who's whole, not broken. And because this family is trying to heal." "But this is my last safety net, Ashley. There is no third chance. If you waste this, you're on your own." She nodded, crying. "I won't waste it. I promise." August, 4 months later, I was teaching a knitting class at the community center. Tuesday afternoons, 12 women all over 60. We made scarves for the homeless shelter while sharing stories. A man appeared in the doorway. 70 silver hair, kind eyes, slightly lost. "Is this the Tuesday knitting class?" he asked. "It is, first time. My wife passed last year. My daughter suggested I try a hobby." "We'd love to have you. I'm Margaret." "Robert." Over the next weeks, Robert and I became friends. Coffee after class, walks through Chapultepec Park, shared widow stories, the loneliness, the adjustment, the strange freedom of living for yourself. He was gentle, patient. He made me laugh. One evening he asked me to dinner, a real dinner, not coffee. "Robert, I'm 68 years old," I said. "I'm not looking for, neither am I." He interrupted gently. "I'm just looking for company, someone who understands, someone who makes good conversation." I said yes. When Lucas met Robert, I brought Robert to Sunday dinner at the house. My first time bringing a guest. Lucas stared. "Mom, are you dating? We're having dinner occasionally. Is that allowed?" Lucas's face went through several emotions. Then he smiled. A real smile. "You deserve this, Mom. You deserve everything good." Ryan whispered to Lily, "Grandma has a boyfriend." And everyone laughed. Because I wasn't just Lucas's mother anymore. I wasn't just the woman they'd wronged. I was Margaret. A woman with her own life, her own choices, her own happiness. March 15th, 2026. Exactly 1 year since the text, Sunday afternoon, Chapultepec Park. I sat on a bench with Ryan and Lily, ice cream cones dripping in the spring sunshine. Robert beside me, his hand warm on mine. Lucas walked up with coffee for me, exactly how I like it. "The kids asked if we can do this every Sunday," he said. "Park ice cream time with Grandma." "I'd love that." Ashley arrived slightly out of breath. She'd found a new job, customer service manager, lower position, less money but honest work. Her debt was down to $28,000. She was paying it off steadily. "Margaret," she said, sitting beside me, "I wanted to tell you, I got my 1-year chip from Debtors Anonymous yesterday. I'm proud of you. I couldn't have done it without you. You saved me when I didn't deserve saving." Jennifer and her kids joined us. Dylan had gotten a scholarship to a prep school. Emma's grades had soared with stable housing. "How's living together?" I asked Jennifer quietly. "Honestly, we're family now. Not blood family, but real family. The kids are inseparable. And Ashley?" Jennifer smiled. "She's teaching Emma engineering concepts. They're building a robot together." I looked around at this strange, blended, broken and mended family. Not perfect, but trying. Lily pulled out a drawing from her backpack. "Look what I made for you, Grandma." It showed the year in panels. Panel 1, a sad woman alone in a kitchen. Panel 2, a woman with a suitcase walking away. Panel 3, a woman surrounded by lawyers standing tall. Panel 4, a woman surrounded by love children, grandchildren, friends. Underneath, in Lily's careful 7-year-old handwriting, "My Grandma Margaret, the bravest woman I know." I held that drawing and cried. Happy tears this time. That evening, Linda's apartment, I sat at my small desk writing in my journal. A practice Dr. Montero had suggested. 1 year ago today, I received a text message that broke me and saved me. "Heat up the leftovers," they said. As if that's all I deserved. As if I was nothing more than their afterthought. But that text didn't break me. It woke me up. I learned that being invisible isn't something people do to you, it's something you allow. And I'd been allowing it for 3 years. Today I am visible. Not because I demanded it, but because I finally saw myself. Lucas and I have rebuilt something real. It's not the uncomplicated mother-son love of his childhood. It's more honest than that. More earned. Ashley is becoming someone I can respect. Someone who's learning that strength isn't about control, it's about vulnerability. My grandchildren know their grandmother has a spine. That dignity matters. That love without respect is just habit. And me, at 68, I'm teaching knitting to homeless women. I'm falling gently in love with a kind man who brings me coffee and doesn't need me to be anything but myself. I'm leading support groups for invisible women finding their voices. The house at 847 Jurist Circuit, Lucas bought out my 60% last month. $81,000 over 5 years with legal contracts and fair terms. It's their house now. Truly theirs. They earned it. And I have something better. I have myself back. I closed the journal, looked at the photos on my wall. David smiling from our honeymoon. Lucas as a boy, gap-toothed and joyful. Ryan and Lily at the park last week. Robert and me at the community center. A life, my life, built from the ashes of the old one. My phone buzzed. A message from the hashtag Invisible No More support group. I'd started, "Margaret, because of you, I left my son's house today. I'm 71 and finally free. Thank you for showing us the way." I smiled. Typed back, "I'm proud of you. Welcome home to yourself." If you're reading this, I want you to know something. Maybe you're a mother living with adult children who take you for granted. Maybe you're a grandmother raising grandkids while their parents forget to say thank you. Maybe you're a widow who sold everything to help family, only to become invisible in the house you built. Maybe you're any woman who's been made to feel small in a space you created with your own hands. Here's what I learned. Love that doesn't include respect isn't love. It's habit. Self-worth isn't selfish. It's survival. You are not a footnote in someone else's story. You are the author of your own. For 3 years, I ate leftovers, literal and metaphorical, while the people I'd sacrificed for feasted. Then I remembered something important. I wasn't just a mother. I was Margaret Elizabeth Thompson, former teacher, widow, knitter, coffee drinker. Woman who could recite every Dr. Seuss book from memory and make German chocolate cake that would make you weep. I was a person, not a function. And the day I remembered that was the day I became visible again. So if you're sitting in a kitchen that doesn't feel like yours anymore, eating food that tastes like resentment, waiting for people who forgot to see you, don't wait for permission to matter. Don't wait for them to remember your worth. Stand up, pack your bag, take back your name. You don't need their approval to reclaim your dignity. You just need your own. And I promise you, on the other side of that door you're afraid to walk through, you'll find yourself waiting. The real you, the visible you, the you who deserves better than leftovers. That woman is still there. She's been waiting for you to come home.